a state of emergency has been declared by the acting president, Ranil Wickremesinghe. The Prime Minister is now the acting president of Sri Lanka, and he has declared a state of emergency. Crowds have erupted in anger earlier on and attempted to march to Ranil Wickremesinghe's office. Today, also the news that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa had fled the country. He left on a military aircraft at around midnight, and in fact, he left with his wife and security guards as well. And the crowds who had been waiting for the news of his resignation there was a sense of unrest among them today as there was suspense on what happens next. Also, the crowds angry over the news that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe would be taking a charge because, after the president steps down, it is the Prime Minister who takes charge. Wickremesinghe, though, did say earlier that he would resign and allow this, all-party government to take place, though he is the acting president right now, and a state of emergency has been declared across Sri Lanka. Let's go across to Shrija, who joins us with the very latest. She's been bringing us all those protests that have been happening. Today, the crowds tried to march towards Ranil Wickremesinghe's office, and the security forces deployed in huge numbers tried to withstand the crowd, and there has been stone pelting, there's been tear gas used as well. You can see some of those protesters washing their face with the water because of the tear gas that is being used by the security forces. So this is the big breaking news coming in from Sri Lanka, and carrying on with that chaos and confusion. Let's go across to Shrija, who joins us from ground zero where the protests are taking place. Shrija, tell us what's happening. All right, we can't seem to connect there with Shrija. She is in the midst of those protesters right now. She's in the midst of those protesters. As you can see, a lot of anger on the streets of Colombo as protesters there marching towards the office of Ranil Wickremesinghe. Their tear gas also being used. The protesters there, what you can see, that cloud of smoke, that tear gas smoke, and I think it's being fired. I think perhaps that's what they're looking at overhead as security forces they try to resist as protesters want to march to and perhaps overrun Ranil Wickremesinghe's office. The Prime Minister has now taken over as the acting president, and there is emergency declared as well over there.